Let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Hi, listeners.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address gamescoop@ign.com, just like Doug did. And Doug wonders.
Hi, Doug.
Hello, Douglas.
So Doug is wondering, has Sony gone too far?
Ooh.
That's it?
That's what he writes in. Let him
Discuss.
explain. Doug says, Insomniac's Spider-Man game was a huge and exciting announcement at E3. Insomniac and the Spider-Man universe seemed like a match made in heaven. But after the hype of the excellent conference wore off, I thought, is it right for Spider-Man to be exclusive to the PS4? Sure, console companies should develop exclusive games to differentiate their product. You want to play Horizon Zero Dawn, buy a PS4. Gears of War 4, you need an Xbox. These are IPs that said companies develop themselves with studios that they either own or closely work with. I say that's fair game. But to lock down a popular and beloved staple of pop culture like Spider-Man seems too far. Think of the outrage when Microsoft bought the 1-year exclusivity for Rise of the Tomb Raider, and that was at least a timed deal. Is there a double standard?
Well, yeah. Did you complain when Sunset Overdrive was exclusive? Because if you didn't, then yes.
But Spider-Man belongs to the people.
Yeah,
I think
that's
Doug,
the difference.
here's
Right?
what I'm going to say.
Spider-Man belongs to Sony. If you want to go to court, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if he knows that connection, that the films for Spider-Man are still under the control of Sony.
Yeah, but
which is already
it's
frustrating.
got to be a separate licensing deal. I don't
This
actually.
isn't a Spider-Man Homecoming game, right?
I'm sure that it was easier for them.
No, this is not a movie
I
tie-in
don't
game.
know.
He's wearing a completely different
Nothing to do
suit.
with it?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, maybe they could have made some calls and helped him out. I mean, look, I'm going to say, Doug, I was skeptical going into your question, and he really won me over and convinced me.
There you go.
I'm going to say yes.
Sony has gone too far.
I think if you own an Xbox One, it's really sad that you're not going to get to play Spider-Man. More sad than not getting to play God of War or Horizon or these other games made by Sony Studios. Like, if you're a big fan of Spider-Man, like that sucks. Yeah, it feels like something like Madden or one of those games that should be on lots of different platforms.
Why though? Because it's big and it's popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Or that it's not native to a game, because Super Mario was more recognized than Mickey Mouse in 1990.
Because it's not a Sony brand.
And Mario's one of the most recognizable.
Yeah, but
it's not a Sony character.
It is a Sony-owned character. And
they own the movie rights. It's a Marvel character.
But ostensibly, they have connected a Sony movie right-owned character with what is basically, or was, a Sony official third-party studio.
Yeah, but you don't have to see that game on Sony TV movie screens. Like, you don't have to see the movie on Sony movie screens.
But you also have to understand that Sony was probably the ones that connected the dots on this, which means that they put money behind it. And they made this happen. It's sort of like the Bayonetta 2 situation, where people were like, why is Bayonetta 2 not on all the other consoles? And they're like, well, because Nintendo paid for Bayonetta 2. Like the same way, Final Fantasy
Tomb Raider
7
2 on Xbox.
Yeah.
Like that, I think we had this very same discussion about how that felt weird and a little bit crappy that now Tomb Raider, who a bunch of people played, they loved that first game, all of a sudden was an exclusive. Yeah. And this is the same situation. Sometimes all the time, exclusives suck if you don't have the system.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Well, because
exclusives are bad if you don't have the system.
It feels weird to complain about it.
There's an expectation that if you buy a PS4, you're not going to be playing Gears of War or Halo. I think if you're on an Xbox,
all the games are unannounced that you end up wanting to play? There's a bunch of cool games.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an expectation that you're going to miss out on a big game like Spider-Man if you own one console over another. Yeah, that feels bad to me.
I guess.
A little worse.
But where's the backlash then? There was a huge backlash when Tomb Raider went exclusive to Xbox. There doesn't seem to be the same thing.
Yeah,
more people on a PS4.
Well, okay, yeah.
Like Doug just convinced.
That's probably exactly right.
Yeah.
Now the backlash starts now with Justin.
I don't have an especially nuanced, like maybe I'll walk out of this room and think about it for a minute and my, opinion will evolve. But like on the face of it, like I totally get Doug's point.
Yep.
I think it's because you connect Spider-Man with a company like Activision, who's third party, who put out Spider-Man games for what felt like decades. Not a lot of them were very great. They were the classic ones. Spider-Man 2 is awesome.
They're always okay.
Yeah, and then we haven't seen Spider-Man in a while, and now he's back, and I think that's because, what?
I'll go ahead. You finish. You go ahead.
Okay. And now he's back, and I think that's because Sony funded this. And Sony connected this with one of their studios who's been developing exclusively for them for years, outside of their last game, which was exclusive to Microsoft consoles, which I don't think Doug was complaining about, because nobody gives a whatever word I can say there, about the dude in Sunset Overdrive, like they do Spider-Man, or lady, whoever you play.
It's whoever you customize.
Man, Sunset was so good. No, the reason I was making that face is because here's what Marvel does. They pull an Aladdin And then they let Microsoft make their own Spider-Man game.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Well, they will, and that's exactly it. And that's why that quietly the best announcement out of this was not the new Spider-Man game. Is that Marvel is now
They're getting real serious.
They're basically getting serious about games, and they're creating a dedicated game arm to connect themselves with other studios who are great at doing what they do.
And there's no better studio to handle Spider-Man than is it Insomniac?
Yeah, and if you look at the way,
no, I just knew they made Injustice. Like I played the Injustice games.
Yeah.
They're open world superhero games that are super generic.
Not Injustice.
Or I mean, what is it
Infamous.
called?
Infamous.
They're so generic. They're like, that's what this is going to be awesome. There's finally like a world for them to inhabit.
If you look at what Marvel's done with directors, with
I don't think Insomniac did not make Infamous. That's Sucker Punch.
Are you conflating Sucker Punch? Because we made this.
You're
mistake
conflating
the
Sucker
other
Punch
day.
because Sucker Punch was rumored to be developing the new Spider-Man game for a long time.
And
it was that bait and switch at E3 where we're like, oh, it's Spider-Man, must be Sucker Punch.
But the reason this makes sense is because of Sunset Overdrive. You do so much rail grinding and kind of flying around in that game.
Again, a generic open world superhero game.
They're already like halfway there with Sunset, honestly.
Well, I wouldn't call Infamous or Sunset generic. I would say that they're not licensed by a recognizable character.
I always thought the electric powers are just like.
Yeah, it is a little bit sort of like, well, here's comic book powers. But if you look at what Marvel's done with studios, with studio heads, with directors, with actors, actresses, they're connecting their franchises and properties with the right talented people, and they're not just haphazardly being like, here's our crap, take care of it. If they can start doing that with games, then I think you'll see a Marvel character exclusively on an Xbox platform if they can find the right studio to do that, So it's a matter of finding out what fits where.
That's a fun feature. Like who should make the Captain America game, who should make the Iron Man game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
say it out loud. Now you have to do it.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Bing.
It's just been added to your to-do list.
I'll just make Chloe do it.